Hey everybody, it's Lucidity and welcome to Japanese History for Everyone. Today we are going to talk about how a murder forced the Empress to abdicate the throne and for the entire capital to be up and moved to a new location. First, some background information. What if I told you that there are a few times in Japanese history where the emperor alone had complete power over Japan? In fact, the history of Japan is the history of different clans and powerful families vying for influence over the imperial family. Today we are going to talk about two of the oldest families. That's the Nakatomi clan and the Soga clan. And it's the rivalry between these two clans that would change the course of Japanese history. So this story takes place in the Asuka period, which is right about here. And for a little bit of context, it's during the 6th century where Buddhism is introduced to Japan. And it isn't immediately accepted by the Japanese people. In fact, it causes a huge debate, and both the Nakatomi and the Soga clans find themselves on opposite sides of that debate. The Nakatomi clan is one of two major priestly clans in classical Japanese history. During this time period, the emperor would choose a master of ceremonies to conduct Shinto rites, and it was almost always a member of the Nakatomi clan, which gave them a considerable amount of power. Being that the Nakatomi clan were leaders of the Shinto religion, they didn't trust Buddhism and saw it as a threat to traditional Japanese values. The Soga clan, on the other hand, is an offshoot of an older branch of the imperial family. They consolidate power by doing something that is common throughout Japanese history, and that's marrying their daughters to the emperor. This is a practice that would continue long after one family is displaced by another. During this time, the title of head of state was almost always given to the head of the Soga family. In contrast to the Nakatomi clan, the Soga clan had a lot of interactions with Korean and Chinese foreigners. These foreigners, often monks, brought over Buddhism from China and Korea. The Soga clan saw Buddhism as an example of civilization and modernization, and thus advocated for it across Japan. Now, during the 7th century, Buddhism won out over the imperial court because of a man named Prince Shotoku Taishi. Shotoku Taishi was not only responsible for helping centralize the Japanese government, but he was a big advocate of Buddhism. But what made Shotoku Taishi different was that he was also very respectful of Shinto customs. It's thanks to him that Japan today practices a blend of both religions, with Buddhism being associated with death and funerals, and Shintoism being associated with life and birth. By the 6th century, even the Nakatomi clan became accepting of Buddhism, but the rivalry with the Soga clan would still persist.
Now that the stage is set, let me introduce to you the characters. Head of the Soga clan and head of state is Soga no Emishi, and below him is his son, Soga no Iruka. Head of the Nakatomi clan is Nakatomi Kamatari. Empress Kogyoku is wife of former Emperor Jome. And her son, the heir apparent to the throne, is Naka-no-oe. Allied to Naka-no-oe is Soga no Kuya-Yamada. Of the minor characters is Prince Yamashiro, popular son of Shotoku Taishi, who was overlooked in favor of Emperor Jome due to the influence of the Soga clan and against the desires of the Nakatomi clan. And then there is Prince Furubito, son of Emperor Jome and a Soga consort, the husband to one of Soga Amishi's daughters. The Soga family favor him over Naka-no-oe because it would help ensure their power into the next generation. So the story begins in 643. The Soga clan, now considerably powerful, start to act in ways that begin turning the heads of other clan leaders and members of the imperial court. They start building elaborate palaces and tombs for themselves and start calling themselves sovereigns. Then, one day, Soga no Amishi calls upon his son, Soga no Iruka, to attack Prince Yamashiro, leading to he and his entire family committing suicide. This puts him on Prince Naka-no-oe's bad side, but remember, the Nakatomi fan were also supporters of Prince Yamashiro. So it's in the aftermath of this event that Naka-no-oe and Nakatomi Kamatari become friends and begin to make plans to take Soga no Iruka's life. They approach another high-ranking Soga man named Soga no Kuya-Yamada, who agrees to take part in the plan. The men know that representatives from the three kingdoms of Korea are expected to arrive in Japan and meet with the Empress. Kuya-Yamada will read aloud the statement made by the Korean representatives, and it will be at this moment that they will strike Soga no Iruka down. It's now 644, and the representatives from the three kingdoms of Korea arrive in Japan and are escorted to the palace to meet with Empress Kogyoku. Kamatari and Naka-no-oe set their plan into motion. First, Nakatomi, hiding his own sword, convinces Iruka to leave his sword behind, which he does. Iruka then takes his place near the throne. The Empress takes her seat, and Kurayamada begins to read the statement from the kingdoms of Korea. Prince Furubito is also in attendance. Unbeknownst to all, Nakatomi's men, armed with bows and arrows, ready themselves for the attack. Nakano-Oe bribes the guards and orders them to close all 12 gates and allow no one to enter. Then he gets a spear and hides it on the other side of the hall. Nakatomi enlists the help of 4 men. He gives them 2 swords, of which to bring down to the throne room, and says, "Up, up, make haste to slay him." As Kurayamada continues to read, he begins to notice that the men he's expecting are taking a bit longer than he had planned. He begins to worry that he will finish reading before the men come down. As a result, he begins to sweat. His hands begin to shake, and he starts to have trouble speaking. Soga no Iruka, noticing that he is distressed, turns to him and asks, "Why are you trembling?" Kurayamada says to him, "It's from being so close to the Empress. It gives me so much fear that the sweat pours from me unconsciously." The 4 men sent by Nakatomi have been struggling to complete the request that has been given to them. They become scared and turn back, but Nakatomi encourages them to continue. When they finally arrive, they look upon Soga no Iruka and are immediately intimidated, failing to move. Nakano-Oe, upon seeing the men frozen in fear, leaps into action. He takes the spear and shouts, "Ya!" slicing through Soga no Iruka from his head to his shoulder. Soga no Iruka is wounded, but he is not yet dead. He rises up from his seat, at which point he's struck again in the leg. Rolling away from his attackers, he bows before the Empress. He says, "She who rules under heaven, and I her servant, am conscious of no crime, and I ask her to begin an examination into this." In shock, the Empress turns to Nakano-Oe. "I know not what has been done," she says. "What is the meaning of this?" Nakano-Oe, looking upon his mother, replies, "He wished to destroy the imperial house and subvert the throne. Is Iruka allowed to substitute himself for a member of the imperial line descended from the gods?" At this, the Empress stands up from the throne and walks into the interior of the palace, sealing Soga no Iruka's fate. The next day, as many members of the Soga clan are to be executed, Soga no Emishi kills himself by starting a fire, destroying many important history books with him. Now, this next part requires a bit of an understanding of Japanese culture at the time. During the Asuka period, and through the next few centuries after, death and blood are seen as unclean and unholy. For the Empress to witness a murder in front of her and for the blood to be spilled in her presence, it would have been considered a huge perversion. It's enough for the Empress to abdicate the throne, the first time in Japan's history up until this point, and for the entire capital to be once again moved to a new location, a common practice at the time, until the eventual establishment of the capital at Nara, and later on at Heian-kyo, also known as Kyoto. In order to prevent further disarray, neither Nakano-Oe nor Furubito are chosen as the new emperor. It's instead given to her brother. And later on, when he dies as well, Empress Kogyoku returns as Empress Saimei. Furubito shaves his head and becomes a monk in order to avoid conflict. And Nakano-Oe, now having gained considerable power, is reinstated as the heir apparent. Later, he would become Emperor Tenji, and it was as Emperor Tenji that he gave Nakatomi Katamari a new name, Fujiwara, and it's the Fujiwara family that becomes Japan's newest, most powerful family, and they will be for centuries further.
So that's it for today. If you like this video, I'll have another history video coming out in the next 3 weeks. If you stick around next week and the week after, I will still be talking about my time studying abroad in Osaka. If you have any questions, please leave it down below. I will be happy to answer them. And please like, subscribe, and all the things that I really feel uncomfortable asking you to do. Thank you. Bye-bye.